news.
Adrian Wojnarowski. The Pistons, after one season, have dismissed coach Monty Williams, who leaves with 5 years and $65 million plus left on his new deal. New president Trajan Langdon will move to make his own coaching hire now, which to me shows that he has the power. We wanted some type of sign to see what this front office structure would be and if things would be different than before, and they're showing us that Trajan Langdon has the power. His coach, his GM, his way, and they're doing this right before the draft. This is going to be something wild, crazy, and interesting. I see why they're holding off on the press conferences. They're like, Trajan, cook, and then answer.
Wow. And they just hired somebody that worked under Monty for a long time in Fred Vincent that almost, I thought, confirmed that he was staying.
Trajan,
that's wild.
Ruthless.
Can
we get Rod back on the line?
Yeah, can we get Rod? We literally just had Rod on and this happens. That's wild, man.
Wow.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow. Hey, you know what? Shout out to Shad as well. I saw it first from you in the chat. So I definitely want to make sure that I say shout out to you. And then obviously social media is just starting to buzz about it. What an amazing development.
Let's talk about this.
What an amazing development.
Hey, Tom Gores, that's $60 million that he has to eat now in a 1 year failure of a project, man. Oh, my God.
This is amazing.
If this is the decision that Trajan wants, good for Tom Gores, good for this organization for going all in and doing it.
Yeah.
And this just hit, so I know we're all wrapping our thoughts around it, but like Kool-Aid said, Trajan's got the power. This proves he's got the power, at least some influence. Yeah. And it takes, whether you're a gazillionaire or not, to just pay someone $60 million to go away, that's, you got to think, that's not just chump change.
Yeah. But what I want to see is...
We wish Chris would do this.
Yeah.
That driver says,
That's why I tell people from an aspect of an owner, I like what Tom Gore's potential brings to the table. It's just a matter of making sure you have the exact right people in your front office to take the best advantage of. Hopefully Trajan Langdon is that guy who you can believe in what he's saying, you can believe in what he's bringing to the table. A lot of people, they didn't really like what Monty Williams was able to do with the young players. And none of us really hid that. Everybody was really confused on what was going on with Jaden Ivey, the handling of Asar Thompson, the lack of putting what I believe to be some of these young players in their best position to succeed. Like I've talked about it on the Woodward Pistons podcast. I've asked questions about it in the press conferences as well about putting Asar Thompson in pick and rolls, putting Asar Thompson in like what he was having success with early in the season was picks and rolls, cuts, rim dives, and things of that nature. It just seemed like they kind of relegated him more to just this outside, you need to be able to shoot type of guy. And I thought that it took something away from the Pistons offense a little bit. Even Jalen Duren, I didn't necessarily see the advancement and development in this game over this season that I wanted to see from an offensive player or a defensive player. So when these are your young players who you're drafting with top 5 talent, you're hoping that these are the guys that can lead your team, and I just haven't seen that. And Monty Williams openly walked into this thing during training camp and stated, hey, look, guys, I'm not used to coaching a team like this. So maybe it signals that a few of these young players are coming back. You know, obviously what this meant for Jaden Ivey. I feel bad for what Jaden Ivey went through the last season. I really do, because who knows where he and Kay would have been by mid-season if they could have started the year playing together and building up this chemistry for really the first time in their careers. This was the first time in their careers that they really got to play together, and it really got stifled at the beginning because Monty Williams and the way that he chose to assess things. So
and you are right. And like you said, he kind of foreshadowed this, man. He told us, hey, I'm not used to coaching teams like this. And when he was brought in, it kind of seemed like maybe he didn't exactly want to do the job, but he was made an offer that he just couldn't refuse. We all know the things that he was going through in his personal life and things of that nature. So he took the job. And he came into a team that was kind of in disarray. He walked into a shit show, for lack of better words. And he's just not used to coaching teams this young. Like, he's better with ready-made teams. I still don't think Monty Williams is a bad coach, but like you said, in terms of just what he did with some of the lineups and the treatment of some of the young players, you can tell that he wasn't fully prepared for everything that he was walking into. So, I mean, I wish him the best of luck. I don't think he's a bad coach still. I think he just kind of got the crap end of the stick, but he took the job.
I think he helped to create some of the storm. I don't think he walked into it. I like the direction that they were going in, and I believe that if Troy Weaver was given the power to be able to build around the scene the way he wanted to, like we know, and there's been reports from national people who stated Jeremy Grant was a Troy Weaver guy and that Arntelum didn't want him here. And what they do, they made a swap to take our best defensive player, our best two-way player out of here. Troy would have had Jeremy Grant here long term, and now we're sitting here trying to find that type of player to add to this Pistons squad. While meanwhile, Bojan Bogdanovic has only declined. And so it's just like, when Monty got here, he kind of disrupted where things were headed.
Really?
Well, yeah, because think about it. If this was on Troy, you think Jaden Ivey is not starting?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So Monty Williams was hired directly by the owner, so he had a certain power, and they instantly suspended their free agency. We were talking to him earlier in the season, Troy Weaver, and the notion was that this free agency they were going to spend. After Monty Williams' hiring, the statement from the organization, not just from Troy, but also Arm, was that they weren't going to spend. They needed to see what fit Monty Williams' style. So you spent the whole year historically losing, handcuffing whoever in the front office just to assess this team to try and build it to Monty Williams' specifications just to broom him out. Do I still believe he's a good coach in a situation and setting that fits him? I definitely do.
Yeah.
I can't look at what he's just done here and then dismiss everything he's done.
He's better with ready-made teams.
Yeah. But it's just how ironic that you spent the year saying, you know what, we're going to pause free agency, we're going to spend the year assessing, and then we're going to spend money next year to fit this team to what we see and like and know about Monty Williams and have this chemistry and this synergy with him. And now he's gone. It's like, wow, is this a sign that maybe Trajan Langdon is starting completely over and that this thing may take 3, 4, 5 years? Or is it a sign that he wants this thing to move a little bit faster? And you know what? We need the right people in place to be able to do that. Because it's not an easy thing. No,
it's not.
This is interesting.
A week before the draft or almost 2 weeks before the draft, that's nuts, man.
I got some
crazy
reactions from the chat. Tony D says, oh, this must have been after the it must have been after the Soroki's where he says, fire chicken like Monty. Ryan's reactions, I have goosebumps, full body goosebumps. Super Juggernaut 87, Detroit for the win. Mitten Mate says, glorious. Art Vandelay, had to be done. We need a full rebuild from the top down. Ellen W says, the best day of my life. Hey, Trajan Langdon, I'm pouring honey on you, goat. Brendan Harris, here's an interesting point. This time last year, Monty Williams was the man.
Yeah.
Like, think about how times have changed. RJ Graham says, great morning, Detroit. Says, bring home Chauncey Billups.
Yes. Yeah, who do you think Trajan wants to lead this team now? What coach do you feel like fits his agenda?
I'm not sure now. And that was one of the things that, Rod Beard talked about. If you're going to get rid of Monty Williams, who you're going to have in place. But if you're getting rid of Monty Williams, you have somebody in place. Obviously, people that have ties to the Pistons historically are guys like Chauncey Billups and guys like Jerry Stackhouse, who is no longer at Vanderbilt. He got more cozy and comfortable with the Detroit Pistons organization over the last few years. We've had him in this studio. He's done things directly with Pistons. He's worn his teal and all of that type of stuff. And so that is a guy that intrigues me and interests me. When the Pistons had this coaching vacancy before, Jerry Stackhouse was a guy that I was saying I would love to see here. I thought, hey, with his kind of proximity to college players, being a college coach, his ability to kind of know the development process, be able to help understand their lingo and help them transition to the NBA lingo and such. I thought, you know what? Andy is a former NBA player at a high level. Maybe he's the perfect guy to have here. Yeah. Chauncey Billups was one of those guys who stated he doesn't necessarily want to deal with a young team. And then Portland went and did what? Saddled him with a young team. This wasn't what he wanted to do either. So I like a Chauncey in theory, but what type of team are they going to put on the floor for Chauncey Billups that meshes with who he is? And when you talk about his legacy overall, you want to make sure that he's a guy that's stepping into something that he can be the complete driver of as a coach.
Yeah. So. Also, do you think that this gives any credence to Trajan having full power now? I remember you brought up a few days ago that they're leaning towards a more traditional power structure to where Trajan can report directly to Tom Gores.
Yep.
Do you think this was a product of that, and maybe they are moving in a direction where Trajan is going to be the sole voice of what happens with this team?
I'm starting to think both of them are. I really am. And when you look at the way that press release was for a Troy Weaver, this wasn't a situation where you get the feeling that the owner of the squad was disappointed in what Troy Weaver was. They put, these are his accomplishments. Hey, we offered him another role within the organization. So this to me would be, hey, Trajan, you got the power to make whatever decision you make that you want to make, because why would Trajan come here if he doesn't get that?
That's true.
Rod and I talked about that. We talked about, you know what, Troy should have been somebody who demanded that power before he got here.
That's true.
So Trajan, now looking at this from the outside looking in, no matter what your connections are to the organization or to the Tellums, you're probably saying, I need that power. And if it just so happens to be somebody that Tom Gores likes, it just so happens to be somebody that Tom Gores likes. We know that Tom Gores was the one who really made the push to go out there and hire Amani Williams.
Mm-hmm.
But if Trajan Langdon is now the person who's able to come in and say, you know what, we need to move in a different direction, I do believe it's showing and proving that Trajan Langdon is the one with the power. You look at a Troy Weaver, he wasn't allowed as GM to hire his own coach.
That's crazy.
Trajan Langdon is now going to have the opportunity to hire his own coach and to hire his own general manager. So, and he's made the firings. So it's proving. He's made some coaching hirings already.
Yeah.
So it's proving. It's already proving right now that Trajan Langdon might be the guy with the master plan in his hand.
That is crazy.
What about this one from Mark Covington? Sam Cassell will be the new head coach of the Pistons. Mark it down.
You know what? I'm not mad at that either. I like Sam Cassell.
Yeah.
It definitely has been kind of going through the rounds as an assistant coach as well. I like him. I got to do some more research on him, but I like him. What up, though, JB?
I just got to say, man, I might be a fan of Trajan Langdon. Damn, a press conference and anything all like that we're still waiting for right now.
We still ain't got a press conference.
But
after a press conference, I'm working.
Yeah, he's over there working. He's like, screw this press conference. I'm trying to get shit done over here. I'm over here in the fast lane trying to get shit done. But, man, to fire Monty Williams on Juneteenth well, too. Like, this is the epitome of what this is the epitome of what Friday is for Craig. You got fired on your day off.
He really got fired.
You got fired on your day off. Come on.
That's crazy.
I didn't think about that.
You done fired a brother on Juneteenth.
Think about that. Jonathan Lord says, what about Rod for coach?
Rod Beard?
Rod Beard.
Oh, Rod
coach,
ain't dealing
GM,
with that.
president of basketball operations. Hey, listen, Rod Beard.
I just
Real
like
quick,
to say,
my famous, and then I'll come to you. My favorite reaction to all this. Before we went to break, I saw this comment before we went to break. A respectful jab. David Cabell. He says, please stop talking Pistons till they make some moves. Less than 5 minutes later, we come out of the break. Good man, David Cabell. He says, now that's a good move. That's what I'm talking about.
So we now have your blessing to talk.
Yeah.
Even though Troy Weaver did get fired, even though they did bring in Fred Vincent, even though they did bring in J.R. Holden, even though they now are linked to multiple players that all season we've discussed, saying, hey, we want the Pistons to be able to look at these guys. I told y'all all year the Pelicans were going to be an organization to keep an eye on as it relates to the relationship with the Detroit Pistons. They already had connections together. They had already had talks in the past. We told you guys, hey, where there's smoke, there's fire. Keep your ear to the ground as it relates to a Brandon Ingram type of player, or maybe some of their secondary players on the Pelicans. Who knew we would wind up, though, with our new president of basketball operations from the Pelicans front office, as well as a couple other support staff and positional coaches as well, coming to the Detroit Pistons organization, and then going to getting J.R. Holden from the Brooklyn Nets organization. Another team that the Detroit Pistons have been in conversation with over the past couple seasons. Can't wait.
Look at one of you guys read it.
Oh, Ryan's reaction. Oh my gosh, $4.99 super chat.
That's crazy.
I'm not touching that. Go ahead.
I can't even read that.
Ryan's reaction always remember on Juneteenth that Trajan freed Monty.
Oh my
The cat with the glasses, too.
He ain't lying, man.
That's wild.
Oh my gosh.
What the hell?
You know what's crazy? Troy Weaver's hired. Charles Lee got hired to be head coach.
Really?
So it's just you know, Charles Lee, Kevin Ali. These are some of the guys that he was looking at
in Brooklyn
during that time. So it's man, it's so many different avenues of what could have been with this organization. I'm glad that they're centralizing power now.
Yeah.
For the fans, I hope it's not too little, too late. Obviously, the organization has to do what they have to do. If it's a 3 to 5 year route, it is what it is.
Yeah.
If it's something more accelerated, that's something I know would definitely jive with a lot of the supporters hanging on by a thread.
It needed to be done. We needed a complete regime change. That's why when they held on to Troy, I was kind of questioning, like, why would you do this, man? Even if you did want to hang on to him just around the media surrounding this team and everything that happened, I didn't think that was a good play. But he's coming in. We got a new sheriff in town, man. We do.
Definitely.
Got a new sheriff
Let's take a quick break. Let this simmer. We'll come back. We're probably going to keep talking about this, at least during mailbag. So we'll take a minute here. Come on right back. as we finish out the show here. Kool-Aid, tell them about Dr. Pierce.
I will. And look, attention sports fans, don't miss out on and Adrian Wojnarowski, as via him, he added onto his report that the decision was made at the ownership level. Woo. So it just continues to add these layers. Like was Trajan Langdon in on this? Because he was they said he would have all the power.
That's interesting.
It is.
Optically, like we'll learn all the details. I think Shad sent us to Shams, or was it Woj? Basically confirming this came from ownership. Could this be Tom Gore's kind of a shielding Trajan Langdon from this being his first move? Or would it look better, Trajan Langdon coming in and scorching the earth, like making a statement move like this? You know what I'm saying?
I can see it. I would hope that this decision is made with at least some type of consultation with Trajan Langdon as a GM, because what if he believed, hey, Monty Williams is that guy? Yeah. But you're instantly coming in and doing the same thing that you did to Troy Weaver, and that's kind of undercut their positions on this squad where they're supposed to be the decision makers for your team. So I would hope that this is something where, you know what, they at least discussed it, they talked about it, that this thing is something that's going to move in a direction that fits more of Trajan Langdon's vision, and that Tom Gores is just supporting that, and like you said, maybe making sure to keep that off of a Trajan Langdon record and really just let this be about what he does to build moving forward.
Yeah, Devin Ellis says, now I can finally get behind this team, wipe the slate clean, and truly build this team the right way. Gores, get out the way and let this man do his job, build around Cade. Yeah.
That's it right there. It's interesting, all the different rumors we've heard, confirmed rumors from confirmed sources or whatnot, or via sources that they want to retain Cade here long term. And so it's interesting to see all of the other moves that's happened since.
Yeah.
I know Cade Cunningham at the exit interview said he wants to be here. Yeah. At the exit interviews, he also said he wants to be able to have some say-so and what goes on within the front office.
Kiazi, so about these Pistons, when Detroit sports start to have success, it comes because of a formula. Hire a former player in the personnel group, and that's when the success will begin, in my opinion. And a few comments above, bada bing, bada boom, says Zion will be a Piston and Chauncey will be the coach.
It's a lot of optimism.
Right? Hey, you know what? I'm not going to crop anybody's optimism. Yeah. It's some of the best things we can think of as it relates to what the Pistons have given us. It's just our optimistic hopes, our optimistic dreams and ways to make the team better, as well as what we've historically gotten from them, because the current team, it's been down for a long time, even in the mediocre years, even during the buffoonery years, even during the years where we got kind of the retread of Chauncey Billups coming back, Ben Wallace coming back, Terry Sean Prince coming back. Even during the years that they made playoffs, we knew that there was no hope beyond that. We knew, okay, at least we made it finally, because we've been just this 8th seed, this 9th or 10th seed for so many years in a row. Hey, at least we finally made the playoffs. I'm hoping moving forward, though, that this organization, that this team, they're able to kind of take a lot of this optimism and put it into reality. They have to. That's what we all want the Trajan Langdon hire to represent. And hopefully, this firing of Monty, I'm going to continue to reiterate this, I'm hoping that this is something that they kind of consulted about with, or at least got some input from Trajan Langdon on what his vision moving forward is and what that might look like, and maybe ownership move to make the ultimate decision. You would have to think so, especially with, how Trajan has operated to this point. When he first kind of got announced as the PBO, we were all talking about the delay with the press conference and things of that nature. Then Troy Weaver ended up being the first domino to fall. And I remember saying at the time that maybe he was like, hey, maybe we need to do something about Troy before I officially come out and be announced. Troy falls. Then he hires some more people to the staff. We're still waiting on the press conference. We're so close to the NBA draft. And now this is the next domino to fall. You got to think that Trajan had some type of say-so. And then you also brought up Cade as well. Did Cade maybe not want Monty to be a part of the process going forward as well? Maybe he made a comment to ownership, and maybe they all came together and colluded. Well, I don't want to say colluded, but all came together and kind of realized that this is probably...
No, that's a great question. Our Vandalay said in the chat, wonder if Cade was asked about Monty before he signs his deal. Or before this decision was made.
Yeah.
Do you think this team operates like that yet? Or do you think they operate like that with Cade? Like,
if you're signing Cade to a max deal, he needs to be somebody whose voice you consult.
Absolutely.
Because you're talking about this guy being not just the face of your franchise, but the guy on whom you're winning in your hopes, and that other players in the league are going to trust as well. And so this is a situation that if you do ask a Cade, I would hope you would, because it's about having your teammates back. And if that coach isn't right, your head player, your lead player, who's also your point guard, your playmaker, your distributor, the person who's your leader on and off the court, they would know that. I don't know what Kay Cunningham's personal feelings are on Monty Williams, so I don't want to insinuate that. But same with Trajan Langdon. I would hope with a guy like Kay Cunningham, who you're tying the future of your franchise to if you give him that max, is somebody that is consulted.
Cool. What about this? How do you feel? This is Alan W. mailbag. How do you feel about Chris Quinn as the next head coach? And this is on your first reaction, so I'm not going to hold you to any of these statements. We'll break it down more tomorrow, Friday.
I want to do a little bit more homework.
Yeah.
I'm not against coaches with promise, and Chris Quinn is one of those guys, but I want to do a little bit more homework on Chris Quinn.
Got you. Nate Edgington says, mailbag, is this equivalent to firing Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn?
I mean, you're looking at the GM of the team. You're looking at kind of the person who coaches the team. I believe that it is. You guys who thought that they had a way, but it was interesting because Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia, they came in and they were supposedly working together, and they didn't have any opposition from the front office. Their opposition came when Sheila came and said, even still, I will still give you guys some time. We will assess, and then she ultimately made her decision. With Monty and Troy, I never got the feeling that they were ever on the same page, ever. And I never got the feeling that this front office is in lockstep and in sync with what they should do. Even down to the weird press conference where kind of the energy or the negative energy between Tom Gores and Troy Weaver spilled out at the press conference of Monty Williams, where he basically said, yeah, there was some screaming, some yelling, there was some good moments, there was some business being, we're trying to make sure we all want the Pistons to be better. Right. So I think that's Monty Williams. So that's the direction that the team went in. So it's man, this is
it's wild, man.
This is it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Cool. Rando Smalls asked, do you think Trajan Langdon has a plan in coach and draft pick already?
I would hope that there's a plan. With these types of moves, you dismiss a GM, you dismiss a coach. Unless your plan is to just wait this thing out for 4 to 5 years with the rebuild, take all your time making all of these types of decisions and assessing these things. I would assume that he already has his eyes set on some people for coach and GM.
Yeah. Do you think, and I see conflicting statements. I've heard multiple things. JJ Redick is going to be the head coach in LA. It's just not official yet. Right. Obviously, Dan Hurley turned it down.
Crazy.
Do you think Monty could be in consideration for that? Do you think Dan Hurley should be consideration for the Pistons job? Why would he leave UConn? But with this whole little coaching triangle that's happening now, is there anything we can take from this? Like, could Monty end up in LA, or is this way too soon to even speculate?
He didn't want to coach these young guys, let alone 1 year of LeBron in the media circus of Bronny, all that's going to bring, and being in the pressure cooker with Rob Pelinka. I don't think
that's going to drive him over the edge.
Exactly. Yeah, he doesn't seem like he would take that job. Would they consider him? Absolutely. But
and his family too, his son and whatnot. Like, just the one thing you get being on the beat is you get, and there are different levels to that as well. Shout out to our traveling beat reporters who get, obviously the most access. I got more access this season than I did my first two, and I was able to be in practices. I was kind of able to be in some of their intimate moments. I was doing some content there and having Monty Williams just kind of video bomb me in the middle of some content and such. And you're able to see, like, sometimes his son is there and whatnot, and you could tell that matters to him at the press conference. His family matters a lot to him, and it was really the theme of everything at his opening press conference. And so I do believe that when they're making a decision about where to go, the community does matter. When they did come to Detroit, they did say the community mattered, but obviously that contract matters a whole lot too.
Yeah. Bada bing, bada boom says, mailbag, is there any coach that would be enough to lure any top free agents to Detroit because they would want to play for him? And again, if you gotta think about that.
Any head coach? I don't see it personally.
Can I throw out a candidate that I feel like ain't been talked about, and now that Monty's gone, maybe we can talk about it?
Talk about it.
Frank Vogel. Frank Vogel, he's out here. I don't think he's in contention for any jobs going forward. He's got an NBA championship. He has experience coaching up a young roster with that Pacers team during the 2010s. I think Frank Vogel would be a great fit for this team, but I don't hear his name a lot. Is there a reason for that?
Maybe there's some things that I gotta kind of look back into it in terms of maybe the fit or the style that he would be as a coach with these guys here in Detroit. But I'm not against a proven coach.
Yeah,
it would be silly of us. This isn't even a beggars and choosers. Beggars can't be choosers thing. This is Frank Vogel. I think it's a great point by you. He is a qualified certified NBA head coach. Mm-hmm. So I'm not against things like that. And who knows? If you're getting rid of a proven coach in Monty Williams, who was proven everywhere else before he got to Detroit, maybe their eyes are set on something like that.
True. I just can't see them moving to a rookie coach from this spot. If you got rid of Monty, he was a veteran, experienced coach with, playoff history. I just don't see them moving to a guy that's never had a job before. But that's just me. I could be wrong.
With you. Obviously, all of us could be wrong, and that's the one thing that I've gotten more and more comfortable with in this is being comfortable in our own space of opinion. If you get things wrong, let's talk about it because we all do. I'm not a soothsayer or future,
Right.
My job is to make sure I report to you directly, unadulteratedly, what the organization is saying.
Yeah.
So we can have a real conversation and really leave a lot of the hypotheticals to our own opinions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just kind of speaking on it, it's like, I definitely see and I get where your mind is at with the Frank Vogel type of player. I'm hoping the organizations is too.
One thing I am seeing in the comments, Juwan Howard, that's a no-go, chat. We
can
drop the Juwan Howard.
I am
Flannel Sam. Say that.
Y'all about to get Flannel Sam to leave his vacation.
Y'all want Juwan Howard? Come on.
His call would break down on the way, man.
What about Dwayne Casey?
Dwayne,
is that back on the table or?
I don't know. Listen, Dwayne Casey's another one of those guys who I don't understand the slander for a guy like a Dwayne Casey.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't. The players loved him. The players at the kind of the exit interviews where they gave him the farewell, they're right in the room, Troy Weaver and whatnot. The players spoke glowingly about Dwayne Casey. I don't believe that that's the direction or the route they would go. It was head coach. Obviously, you guys know me. You know the connection I have with him. I would not mind seeing that at all with the Dwayne Casey.
What about this?
Probably want a guy with a little bit more modern offensive philosophy.
What about this? We've been talking about point guards a lot today. Help alongside Cade. With Cade's development, Ashton, the trainer, says, what about Steve Nash?
No.
That was a quick no.
I'm good on. I just don't know if he has the type of cachet to take a job like this. I mean, he walked into
what happened in Brooklyn, though.
He walked into a ready-made situation with three of the biggest stars of this decade.
Also the biggest mess of this decade. That was the absolute biggest joke show in Brooklyn ever, even though they are three of the best.
Would he be better with a younger team? Yes, but I don't know if this situation necessarily breeds success for him. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. He's almost, I'd say, a first-time head coach.
Yeah.
So it's like, is that the right fit? We had that conversation about Kevin Ollie last year. Like, is it time for a first-time head coach or a young head coach who Kevin Ollie, did he coach the G League Ignite or one of the G League teams?
Yeah, Kevin Ollie, he was actually like the head of talent there and the head of coaching, actually.
So he had
player development
relationship. He had the cachet, speaking to those guys. That's an interesting thought. I might as well roll this for another minute or two. Just a fan
you said Ashton suggested that one.
Can I throw something out there real quick?
Shout out Ashton the trainer, man.
Shout out Ashton the trainer.
And also shout out Tom Gorse, because unlike some other owners in this town, he actually paid up to fix his mistake and, cough, DFA Javi Baez, cough. That's all. You know what? Want to throw that in real quick.
Shout out Ashton the trainer, too. I see you in the chats, my brother. He has supported our platform for a while. He has supported Woodward Pistons and a lot of other. Y'all got to understand. Cannon, these guys have supported a lot of content creators and a lot of media here. A lot of people trying to kind of get their footing and get on. Shout out to those guys. I will always have love for them. And then you guys already know, I speak about what they do around this state to be able to give back, not just here, but also in their hometown in Texas as well. It's an awesome thing that these guys do. And I'm appreciative for who you guys are as people and as supporters. Thank you so much. I got to make sure I put that on record. And he said trust in Tom, too. I see Ashton Trainer in the chat. He said trust in Tom. Wow. And you're right. I believe, I've been saying this, I've written some articles on it, that I believe Tom Gorse is the right type of owner. You just have to identify the right type of front office that you can trust their decisions. Because he's proven, look, I will open up the pocketbooks.
Yeah.
If he feels like something's not working, he's not afraid to go and make that change and make that move. He is relying more on his front offices more. That's something he wasn't doing or wasn't necessarily associated with him early on in his ownership. And so if you get the right people in here, I do believe you got the right type of owner to see this thing through. I do. I
love it.
And shout out to Ashton one more time.
Yeah, big shout out, man.
I love it.
NBA trainer, brother.
Shashak Subramanian. He's been dropping some good comments, but I got to go back to a kind of a funny one. He says, got to go get Buzelis. The last time we drafted a tall, white European kid in the lottery, we won a championship the next year.
Yeah, but the player we picked, though, I mean, come on with that one.
Oh, come on, Melo.
Yeah. We're a little further than that.
Yeah.
Championship.
And Shaw's saying, he said, is this actually Ashton the trainer or a burner account, though? This is the actual Ashton the trainer. He's been a supporter here. When I had like 30 people in the chats, maybe 15. Ashton the trainer was one of those people early on with Woodward Pistons. He stuck it through with us. And shout out to him. He said 100. Love, family. Keep grinding, fellas. We tuned in every day. I remember the first interview we had Ashton trainer on. It's crazy because I was just watching the clips. And I remember he told us afterwards, like, yo, Kay was right there off screen. And it did, man, you talk about having this passion. And we've all talked about our passion for covering sports. Having that was just one of those pinnacle moments, and it helped to propel us forward. So shout out to him, man. Shout out to the support you guys for staying tapped in.
Yeah, I haven't met Ashton, the trainer. I feel the respect you guys have for him and everything that they're doing. I'm going to use him as an example to give you props of just staying diligent and covering the Pistons. It's been some dark times. It's been a difficult couple of years, and every time we talk Pistons in the chat, it started to diminish, but there's people saying, all right, let's move on. Let's talk about something else. But you stayed diligent to it and kept up. And look what happens. Breaking news happens. Where did he come? He came to your show, Kool-Aid.
Yes, sir.
To make his comment. And I think that's just a microcosm of building a community. Well, you built the Woodward Pistons and I haven't been talking about them for the last 4 years. You have, when everyone wanted you to talk about Lions. And not Tigers, not Red Wings. But you know what I'm saying? So that's a microcosm. You're building a community. Says why we talk about them when they're struggling. They're one of our 4 teams. Like we are the Pistons. Like this is what it's all about. There are better times ahead. We hope it's this year. We hope it's as soon as possible. But you're going to get consistent Pistons coverage from us every step of the way.
Yes, we take it seriously. We go professionally. I am encouraged by everybody else's work here too. I'm going to always be about our team first. I do this because of what Woodward Sports is as a platform, and that's what all of you guys make it, including you, chat family. This has been dope, and I appreciate
more to talk about. Like this, we're going to be talking about this tomorrow, and then we got the draft Wednesday. We're going over pick number 3, or our top 3 at 5, number 3.
I'm looking forward to an off-season kickoff show too. This will be my first year doing it with really all Woodward Sports personalities. Before it was kind of our Woodward Pistons Table Talk members, and I do want to do something to honor them because they had something to do as well with make sure that platform got off too.
Absolutely.
So definitely, man. Look, and just so you know, when this platform was being talked about, Broder was a guy who advocated to have some Pistons love in this thing as well. He knows my passion for it. I know he likes talking hoops too, and everybody else on the squad as well who helped to kind of keep the Woodward Pistons Wednesday thing going and make Detroit Pistons coverage. Because I'm telling you, we cover it for real, man. We're on the ground level. And one of my favorite games out of any of these seasons, and I know we've seen some wins, was when I got to be in the building with my guys, credentialed up, walking through the tunnels.
Let's go.
Seeing the 014 walk right past us, meeting some legends in the media, getting down on the court and all that type of stuff. So I love that type of stuff, man. Thank you, guys. Thank you, chat family.
Chat family is goated, says Eric Burrow.
Yes.
Oh, man, I'm excited to see some comments. It's nice. There's overall, it's weird. Weird's not the right word. Someone gets fired, and you don't want to disrespect them, but it's good to see, especially in the chat. There's a resurgence of energy. All right.
You're right.